The time is now 12:30, so we'll begin our meeting. The meeting is now open to the public and we have started recording. We'll begin with an introduction to our Spanish interpretation, as well as our language justice statement from Tanya Johnson.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Tanya, and I'm the interpreter for the Environmental Justice Office at CDPHE. Today, I'm working with my colleague, Valentina. I'm going to read the Zoom instructions and the language justice statement first in Spanish, and then I'll repeat it in English. Hola, buenas tardes. Me llamo Tanya y soy la intérprete de la Oficina de Justicia Ambiental del Departamento de Salud Pública y Medio Ambiente de Colorado. Hoy estoy trabajando con mi colega Valentina. Antes de comenzar, quiero asegurarme de que todas y todos hayan seleccionado el idioma adecuado en Zoom. Si prefieren escuchar la presentación en español, hagan clic en el globito que aparece en la parte inferior de la pantalla de la computadora y seleccionen español bajo interpretación. Si están usando un teléfono celular o una tableta, hagan clic en los tres puntos que están a la derecha donde dice More o Más y elijan el español como su idioma de preferencia. Las y los integrantes de la comunidad están invitados a hacer sus comentarios en español si así lo prefieren. Nuestra organización ha asumido el compromiso de fomentar la justicia lingüística. Invitamos a la comunidad a usar su idioma de preferencia para participar en la reunión. Les agradecemos que hablan lenta y pausadamente y que usan palabras comunes para que sea más fácil de interpretar. And in English. Before we get started, I would like to direct everyone to the appropriate language channel on Zoom. If you would prefer to listen in Spanish, please click on the small globe at the bottom of your screen and select Spanish. If you are on a tablet or phone, click the three dots to the right of your screen that says More and select Spanish there. During the meeting, there may be community members who choose to give their comments in Spanish. If you are not bilingual, you will need to click the English option to hear the interpretation. As an organization, we are committed to language justice. We would like to invite community members to participate in the meeting using their language of preference. In order to facilitate interpretation, please speak slowly, pause often, and use commonly understood vocabulary. Thank you so much. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Tanya. Language interpretation is now enabled. Board members, please make your language selection. And I'm going to review some quick housekeeping items for today. Please make sure that you've joined the meeting with either your phone or computer audio. Board members are panelists and can participate by raising their hands, which can be found at the bottom of the Zoom window. If you've joined by phone, you can press *9 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute. Because this is an opportunity for board members to engage with CAA and department staff, we ask that all board members keep their cameras on. That said, feel free to turn it off if you need to step away to attend to something. Board members, please state your name and organization each time you speak. Also, if board members can make sure their chat settings are set to everyone when they are sharing feedback, that will ensure that everyone in the meeting can see their feedback. We are recording this meeting and will post it to the advisory board webpage, which I have just linked to in the chat. There, you can also find meeting materials for today, including a Zoom guidance document. Non-board members will have an opportunity to speak during our public comment period. I will turn on the chat function during our scheduled break. At that time, you can send me your name and affiliation to join the list of those who will speak during the public comment time. As a reminder, these are the ground rules we have in place in order to have a productive meeting and to ensure that we can hear from all advisory board members. I'll now turn it over to Scott.
Thank you very much, Brandon and Tanya, for providing the language justice statement and meeting logistics for us today. So welcome everyone to Colorado's 30th Producer Responsibility Advisory Board meeting. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Scott Cassell. I'm CEO and founder of the Product Stewardship Institute, and I am the facilitator for the advisory board. And I will now hand it over to Darla to introduce the newest board member.
All right, thank you so much, Scott. Well, I get the pleasure of introducing Michael Pratt from Sunoco. Michael is filling the remainder of that 2-year term for the manufacturer of recycled paper products seat. And Michael has been active in the packaging industry for over a decade, and he currently holds the role of sustainability manager at Sunoco Products Company, which is a global packaging solutions leader that is committed to improving the lives of customers, teammates, and communities. In this role, Michael has primarily been responsible for supporting sustainability efforts for all of Sunoco's North American divisions, which includes consumer, industrial, and protective packaging. And he also helps advise on industry trends. Michael enjoys the unique intersection between packaging design, sales, operations, and marketing in which he currently resides. So board members, today, if you can take a quick moment to introduce yourself to Michael during our roll call by sharing not only which seat you represent, but also your organization, that will be helpful. And Michael, not to put you on the spot, but would you mind sharing with everyone why you wanted to join the important work that this advisory board does?
Yeah, absolutely. So first, I'd say good afternoon, everyone. I certainly appreciate the opportunity to serve on the board. But, at the most simplest, really, I understand, and I think that's why we're all here, right? The benefits that extended producer responsibility can have on increasing access to recycling rates, and ultimately, I think more beneficially to lower carbon emissions potentially. And so by being a member of this board, I hope to help oversee the process, provide insights from my time in the packaging industry that will hopefully ultimately lead to the most beneficial program for the residents of Colorado. So looking forward to getting started here.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Michael. We are so pleased to have you join us. Welcome again, and thanks for being here. Before I turn the mic back over to you, Scott, I just want to make one other quick update, and that is to let you all know that our environmental justice seat representative, Junior Ortega, has submitted his resignation notice. Luckily, he's not in too big of a hurry to leave, and he has committed to continue to participate on the board until his seat is filled. So today isn't a goodbye, thankfully. But I did want to share this news as we are beginning recruitment efforts immediately, and you will see that notice go out soon. Junior, we're sad to lose you, and I just want to acknowledge the value of the insights and perspectives that you've been bringing to the table. I feel like it's just been a perfect fit with you, having so much experience from both the environmental justice community lens as well as the waste management lens. So please know that you will be missed, and thank you for offering to stay on board until our recruitment is completed. All right, Scott, that's all I have for now. I'm going to turn it back over to you for a quick roll call.
All right. Thank you very much, Darla. And Michael, it's good to have some fresh legs here with the board. This is our 30th board meeting for the advisory board, and also moving into technical meetings as well. So welcome here. All right, this is a formal advisory board meeting, so we are going to have a roll call, and please raise your hand or give a wave and say here. We'll start with our advisory board chair, Liz Chapman, nonprofit seat. Liz?
Thank you, Scott. Welcome to the team, Michael. I'm Liz Chapman. I'm the Executive Director of Recycle Colorado. Recycle Colorado is a statewide nonprofit membership organization that is working to keep material out of the landfill. To give you just a very quick snapshot of why in the world I ended up here, and I am present.
Thank you, Liz. Trade Association seat, Scott DeFife.
Scott DeFife, Glass Packaging Institute, and as Scott said, I sit on the Trade Association for Material Manufacturers seat.
Thank you, Scott. I know Gail Gary is trying to get in, but having some internet issues now, so Darla will let me know when she comes in, or maybe Gail will let me know.
You made it. I'm here.
Oh, you are there. Excellent.
I am here, but I might be a little
bit.
Exactly. Thank you. You know, nothing like a little technical difficulty to get everything going. And it sounds like I still may be a bit, my internet may be a bit unstable. So good afternoon, everyone. And good afternoon, Michael. Nice to meet you virtually. I am on the president of the Steamboat Springs City Council and represent the municipalities outside of the Front Range on the advisory board. So hello, everyone, and have a good afternoon.
Thanks, Gail. Perfect timing. And you're coming through loud and clear. Retailers Association seat, Chris House.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Well, good afternoon. Michael, welcome to the club. I'm Chris House. I'm the president of the Colorado Retail Council. conveniently representing the state's retailers on this advisory board, and I've been their lobbyist at the Colorado General Assembly for the last 20-something years.
Thank you, Chris. Landfill with recycling seat, Barrett Jensen.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome, Michael. I'm Barrett Jensen with Waste Connections of Colorado. I'm the Government Affairs Manager for Waste Connections, and I currently am representing the landfill with recycling, as Scott said. And Junior, we'll miss you, bud. Thank you for all your input throughout this process. You'll be missed.
Thank you, Barrett. Murph seat, Rick Cater.
Good afternoon. Welcome, Michael. I'm Rick Cater. I'm with Swordfish Consulting in Boulder County. I'm the MRF operations dude. So welcome to the game.
Thanks, Rick. Municipality seat, Caroline Mitchell.
Hello, Michael. My name is Caroline Mitchell. I use the pronouns she, her, and I work with the city of Fort Collins. And welcome to the board. And Junior, I'm so sorry that we won't get to you for very much longer. Thank you for all the time that you have spent with us.
Thank you. All right. Jake Neese, I understand, is not here. Is that correct? No. Okay. So Junior, we're all sorry to see you going to be leaving here. So please introduce yourself. You're here at this meeting. We greatly appreciate that. Please.
Thank you, Scott, and welcome, Michael. I know it's a short welcome, but I will still be until my seat is filled. And honestly, guys, I didn't want to leave personally, but there is a lot of good changes happening. You know, it's good news, life's changing. I'll share a little bit about it if I can. You know, I am adjusting my legal status in this country, so it will take a lot of my time commitment for the next 12 months to be very focused on that battle or journey, I should say. So this is why I'm kind of taking that step back, because it's going to need my full attention here for the next 12 months. If not even longer. But like I said, I'm still going to be involved, engaged. I'll probably be one of the public comment inputs once in a while. I'm going to continue to be engaged. But for sure, I don't think it's fair that I get to take a seat where I cannot fully commit when I have other good changes happening that kind of need my attention. But I'll be around. I'll be engaged. So again, Michael, welcome. So yeah, you know, I'll be around. I'll miss you guys too, for sure.
Thank you so much, Junior. And we certainly all wish you the best moving forward here in your endeavors here. And good luck with that. And we hope to hear you on the phone. All right, recyclable material hauler seat, Mark Petrovich.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Hello, Michael. Nice to meet you. Welcome to the team. My name is Mark Petrovich. I am with Republic Services, representing the hauler aspect. Republic Services is a national hauler, landfill owner, operator, recycle center, recycle processing, organics processing, pretty much full suite of waste management pieces. So welcome to the team, Michael, and Junior, we'll miss you and look forward to you staying in contact with us. Best of luck.
Thank you. Okay, Michael, now it's your turn to formally say you're here. So manufacturer of recycled paper products seat, Michael Pratt.
Yep. So good afternoon again, everyone. Michael Pratt, present.
All right. Clinton is not here. I understand he'll be about an hour late. Is that correct? Okay. Packaging supplier seat, Scott Saunders.
Scott Saunders with KW Plastics, representing the plastic or the packaging supplier seat. Michael, welcome to the group. Look forward to having your input. Junior, sorry to see you go, and thanks for everything you've done. Hope to continue to see you participate.
Thank you, Scott. Non-voting department seat, Wolf Cray.
Hey everyone, good afternoon. Wolf Cray, on behalf of CDPHE, Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment, as the non-voting member. Michael, thanks so much for joining us. It's great to have you on the board. And Junior, thank you for everything you've done. And don't hesitate to reach out if there's anything we can do to support you, because you've been a great board member and you're a great person. And just thanks for everything.
Thank you, Wolf. And our second non-voting seat is Peter Hargreave. Pete?
Yeah, thanks, Scott. Peter Hargreave with Circular Action Alliance. I am the pro seat, and certainly echo everyone else's comments of thanks to Junior and welcoming Michael aboard.
Great, thank you, Pete. All right, so just a little bit more business before we dive into the good stuff. I'm going to move now into the business meeting. The first item of business is to approve the summaries for the last meeting, that's meeting number 29, and the technical work session number 4. So if you were not present at one or both of those, I'm going to take them separately. Please abstain from voting here. But if you're there, please let us know. So first, does anyone have any feedback on the meeting number 29 summary? Okay, hearing none, then can I see a motion to approve the meeting number 29 summary?
Liz Chapman, Recycle Colorado. I make a motion to approve the meeting notes from meeting number 29.
Thank you, Liz. Do I have a second?
Got the 5 packaging.
Thank you. I see people unmute, so I'm like anticipating this to keep us moving along. Scott, thank you. All those in favor, say aye, raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, unanimous approval. Second, does anyone have any feedback on the technical work session number 4 summary? Okay, I'm looking for a motion to approve that summary.
This is Caroline Mitchell. I would move to approve the meeting summary for technical work session number 4.
Thank you, Caroline. Do I have a second?
Scott Saunders, KW Plastics, I second.
Thank you, Scott. All those in favor? Aye.
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 All right, any opposed? Okay, approved unanimously. Thank you. Now we're going to quickly go over the agenda so we can dive into business. Here is today's agenda. We're going to have some updates from Circular Action Alliance. And then we're going to get into the post-consumer recycled content, take a break for 5 minutes, then have end markets and public input, and then the meeting summary and next steps as we adjourn. So with that, I am now going to turn it over to Pierre Benavides from CAA's Responsible End Market Technical Advisory to kick off the first topic, which is post-consumer recycled content. Pierre, nice to have you with us.
Yeah, nice to see you, Scott. It's been a while.
Been a while, yeah.
So I think you can, go over a couple of slides. Those would be processed after we talk about PCR and responsible end markets.
Yeah, give me just a second here. Sorry, my computer's kind of locking up on me here.
And I'll just mention, just apologies. We just moved the updates to later in the day, just because Pierre has an appointment to get to, and so we just want to make sure we get through those 2 aspects, which he will be presenting on.
Yeah, so that's my first time here, and already mess things up. So I hope you will not be too mad about this.
They deal with me regularly, Pierre, so they're used to it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, so yeah, we want to start first by reminding everyone of what is the statutory requirement for PCR, and also bring some context before we dive into what CAA proposed as an approach for that topic. So basically, what the pro CAA is required to do with regards to PCR is three things: set the targets for the different material, including paper, glass, metal, and plastic, for 2030 and 2035. Once the target are set, CAA needs to verify, how the producers are reaching those target, and the verification should also describe any kind of waiver from reaching those minimum PCR content rates. And finally, the last one is to describe how CAA will provide producers with the opportunity to purchase PCR from processor at market prices. So three main topics to cover today, and we will go in each one of them. But before we do, we wanted to bring the definition here of what is defined as a PCR. Our reading of that definition is that it would include post-consumer material such as pallet wrap and back of store corrugated cardboard, but not include any kind of industrial scrap materials. So it's an important consideration to have here. It's only post-consumer and not pre-consumer material, but it does include some commercial material as well. So I don't know how it works, if if there are comments or discussion at each slide, or if I just keep on the discussion and we'll see. Okay, so maybe we can move to the next slide, please. Some context and consideration that will explain why we have developed the strategy as we are about to present. The first ones are that based on the Colorado needs assessment, we understand that they are limited in state and market apart from glass and metal product, and limited as well limited manufacturing facilities. So what that means is that, as you will see in the coming slide, the PCR will not necessarily flowing only in Colorado and getting from Colorado to the producers. Other point of consideration is that there is already a good network of organizations that are promoting the circular economy within the states, and for probably link a bit to that, there are emerging in-state processing facilities. So this clearly opportunities we will have to rely on moving forward the PCR strategy. Can you change the slide, please? Some consideration about the procurement of PCR, because this is kind of usually a more complex topic than it looks like. First of all, the PCR procurement strategy is managed differently by the different producers. Some of them will have a procurement strategy managed by the headquarters, and even in some instances, the headquarters might not be in the US; they might be in Europe, for instance. And others will choose to have a procurement strategy managed by the different plants. So this is clearly something that needs to be considered as part of the strategy. The availability of the PCR will also vary a lot by material type, and even within those material type with the different market dynamics. So as it could change in time and by material, this is something that CAA needs to consider building the strategy. As I have mentioned a bit in the previous slide, the covered products in Colorado are frequently made outside of the state. And so as a result, PCR used in Colorado will not necessarily be coming from Colorado exclusively. And finally, it's generally challenging for the producers to navigate between the different PCR requirements in different states. Definition might vary, material targeted might vary, the targets will also vary. So it's among the differences that could happen between the different jurisdiction. And so the targets that we will set will take that into consideration as well. No, we're good. We can change the slide. We can change the slide over. When it comes to PCR, we need to bring the complexity of data tracking into consideration as well. There is a lot of gaps that could exist within the landscape. First of all, the data may not be accessible to the different member of the value chain just because they are not necessarily sharing those data between reclaimers, converters, and producers. So that's the first gap. The other gap is that in some instances, data must not be available. For example, if there is no PCR requirements, there is not necessarily a chain of custody in place to track that material. And finally, because there is a differences between the jurisdiction or the different requirement, the data may just be inadequate. So for instance, the definition of post-consumer might vary from one jurisdiction or from one requirement to another. So this is another example of why in some instances, again, the data for PCR is complex to track. You can change the slide, please. So we have also, as part of developing the strategy, tried to identify what is the current situation of PCR usage or PCR uptake for the different material. What is important to see on this slide is the far right column, which is the overall PCR uptake assessment. As we can see here, for some material, paper, aluminum, and steel, there is already a high PCR uptake. Apologize, because the supply and demand is already there, and because there is low to limited technical feasibility. That does not mean that those material are just using PCR, those industry are just using PCR material, but just that it's not necessarily a technical or supply or demand issue. When it comes to glass, the capacity to use glass into new bottle or new container is not limited by the technicality of it, and is not necessarily limited by the demand as well. We know that there is already a high demand for more glass that are recovered, that are post-consumer glass, but it's the supply that is more limited in that instance. And as you will see in the upcoming slides, this is something we have taken into consideration because the PCR procurement strategy is not necessarily the one that will drive the changes for the glass industry. So without surprise, it leaves the plastic with the lower PCR uptake. Definitely, it would be different from the different resin types and the different end application as well. We know that there is already a high demand for some resins such as HDPE and PET, but it's the supply that might be lacking. In terms of technical feasibility, we know that there are some challenges associated with the use of PCR in some products. The best example is definitely the packaging food grade product where some technical challenges could arise. So this is, if you can go to the next slide, this was the context for us setting the strategy for PCR. Setting the strategy within the team, we have tried to develop what would guide that strategy and the CAA approach, and this is what I am about to present here. So we have, we want first to make sure we put most of the energy and the focus on material with low and medium PCR uptake. So as I have mentioned, plastic would be one of them, and glass, as you know, with the different strategy as I will explain. We want to collaborate with the different stakeholders that are already involved in either target setting, the verification effort, and the identification of the market interventions. We know that there is not a need for CAA to reinvent the wheels. Some of the verification process are already in place within the different industry using PCR. So we want to make sure we could leverage from this. And that is actually linked to one of the other guiding principles, which is to reduce the administrative burden, both on the producer side, but also on the end market, the reclaimer, those who are making the post-consumer recycled material. We want to make sure that we will be able to promote domestic PCR supply to drive the market demand. That does not mean that we will forbid the use of PCR to be procured from outside the US. But as much as possible, we want to make sure that as part of the strategy, we are able to promote in a way or another the use of domestic material. Recognizing that this is a new reporting requirement, and again, this is in place as well, or starting to be implemented in different states, it's important for us to send a fair market signal through that strategy to give time for the value chain to adapt to the new requirements. Another consideration that was part of our discussion is for us to remain technology as agnostic. Which means that we will allow for the use of different technologies as soon as those technologies or those processes could be deemed responsible. So that will be the next part of the presentation today, and that the states do not prevent the use of specific technologies. And finally, it's a bit obvious, but it's important to say that we are developing this strategy consistently with HB 22-1355. Objectives and the PCR requirement that we can see in other jurisdictions. Again, it's a bit linked to to some of the other guiding principles, such as reducing the admin burden as much as possible. Any question on those guiding principles, maybe before we move forward? I don't know if that's the way to go.
Here, I think you have a slide, the next slide here, Brandon, if we go. We have some discussion questions. Yeah. So, okay. So just to let everyone know, the presentation here on post-consumer recycled content will have three slides separated out for discussion questions. So this is the first one, then Pierre will discuss some more slides, a second one, more slides, and a third one. So just so you can get the rhythm here, and I'll read these here so you don't need to. So are there questions about what is in the state statute regarding PCR requirements? Do you agree or disagree with the key issues identified for PCR procurement and data tracking? And then the last two are similar. Are there additional general approach principles CAA should include? And do you have suggestions for revising the general approach principles? So any of these or other questions on what Pierre presented, please raise your hand and we'll get down to some questions. Liz, thanks for starting us off. Go ahead.
It would not be a meeting with me without a question from me. I am Liz Chapman, Recycle Colorado. So I do have a question, Pierre. Could you be more specific about what the statute requires in terms of PCR requirements? It is my understanding the legislation does not call out a specific PCR percentage. And if you could elaborate on what it does require, I would appreciate that.
So if we can go back to, I think the first slide of that presentation, you're right. There is no rate yet there is no rate at all in the statute, but there is a request for CAA to set those rates for January 1st, 2030 and January 1st, 2035.
So Liz Chapman again, to follow up on that, once CAA sets a target, and I understand that those targets will vary by material likely, If a producer does not meet that target, what is the repercussion? What happens if a producer is not meeting the target?
There's a question.
You want to jump in on this?
PAG. Sorry, go ahead.
Do you want me to jump in on this one? I'm happy to
Yeah,
jump.
Pete, please. Thank you.
Yeah. There is certainly a bonus. There is a eco-modulation requirement that would provide a potential bonus associated with high PCR content within a product. There is not necessarily, if I remember correctly, and please, Wolf or Darla, correct me, but I don't think there is a malus on the PCR content side. So it's more of a incentive approach to increase the amount of post-consumer recycled content within products.
Darla?
Yeah, that is true what Pete said, and I'll just add to that there's two different areas where PCR is mentioned, and one is around the PRO's requirement to set the target, and that's the overall target for the whole program, Liz. So it wouldn't come down to the individual producer level for the whole target, it would come down to the PRO. There are mechanisms in place that we could utilize whereby we could adjust that target, we could adjust the plan, we could adjust the schedule. There are multiple things that can be adjusted during our annual review of the program's performance. And so we'll be looking at that and adjusting as needed as we go. And then the other piece Pete already spoke to in terms of the eco-modulation factors that are related to PCR, which is not what I don't think you were asking about.
Okay. Thank you for that. Let's move to Rick, then Scott, then Scott. Rick?
Yeah, this is Rick Cater, representing Murph Swordfish Consulting. So from my perspective, I can't wait to hear from KW, because I would want to know, are there any constraints as it relates to that content? Are certain resin types, can they only allow for 50% recycled with virgin to make the kind of product that they make? So there may be production constraints that the board or CAA need to understand as they set those rates. And then the other point I wanted to make up was the harmonizing. So obviously, and this is just me, my personal opinion, California is probably going to take an extreme and require much higher content levels. And the producers are going to want to harmonize. And, so at some point, California being such a big market and such a driver, if they choose to go 70% on some product and it's feasible, then we don't have to do anything but follow them, because the market's going to follow the biggest market demand, right? So those are my two comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rick. Let's go to Scott DeFife.
Thank you, Scott DeFife Glass Packaging. Thank you, Pierre. I think you did a really pretty good job of summarizing it, and some of the things I'm going to ask are I've probably talked about in another state where we've had to deal with some of these things because Oregon is moving forward with the regulations kind of parallel to Colorado. I first want to hit back on Liz's question and Darla's answer about the actual statute regarding PCR requirements. And the PRO must establish some guidelines for PCR, and there is not a material by material requirement in the statute. Darla, were you saying that the requirement on the PRO is to establish an overall PCR goal, or does it specifically say in the statute material by material?
That's a good clarification, Scott. Thank you. Darla Ahrens, CDPHE. The PRO is responsible for setting targets for minimum post-consumer recycled content rates for certain types of covered material. So that includes paper products, glass, metal, and plastic.
Got it. Thanks.
Yeah.
And so then if I can follow up, Scott, if we can go back to the, I think it's 14. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean 14. I meant 15. Sorry. I got my numbers wrong. I think to Rick's point on production constraints, that it is, and I think that, I think this is known, that there are, not everybody's 0 to 100. Every material is not 0 to 100. There are constraints and limits, upper limits for materials, not even just availability like ours primarily. And I think Pierre did a very good job of, saying like, we would use all that we could get if we could get it, right? So that's not a demand side problem, it's a supply side problem. But there is an upper limit that may not be the same for glass or metal or paper as there is for plastic, or different resins within the plastic family. So I think your target within your range is important, with the goal setting and what's good, what's high, low, and what's high, medium, and low. In addition, again, specific to glass, maybe more than other materials, highly regionalized, highly dependent upon what's available in their area. Even within the United States, the glass on the West Coast is 45% to 70% availability of recycled content, but east of the Rocky Mountains, until you get to east of the Mississippi, could be single digits in availability. So the availability there is very different, and because of all the imported product, you're going to have vast differences in the recycled content material from Europe as compared to South America or Mexico or Asia. So there's just a huge difference in sourcing, where you source from, and that's probably good enough for me right now. Yep.
Okay, thank you, Scott. Scott Saunders.
Yeah, Scott Saunders with KW Plastics. To Rick's point, there are some technical, Richard's point, there are some technical limitations to some types of plastic. People say plastic, they think it's one material, but each item is engineered for its specific application. And so today you have clear PET and you have natural milk bottles that are the really in-demand product because it is clear and unpigmented, and you can put it into a variety of colors. But you take a milk bottle and you're trying to put that into a laundry detergent bottle, which is a original product designed to last 2 to 3 weeks, into a product designed to last 6 months. There are some engineering challenges. So I think that you have to take this on a material by material basis to look at PCR content. I also think that most states say they want 25 to 50% PCR, which is good for our particular business. But if the Colorado recycling rate is only 8 or 9% and you require 25%, you can create a market squeeze and a pinch. So our goal is to get the Colorado rate up as high as we can get it. So I think the PCR rate should adjust, in arrears as the rate of recycling comes up in Colorado to prevent market squeezes and inefficiencies. The PCR supply chain, specifically for plastic, is more national than regional. Many products for the West Coast market are made in Iowa, where it's shipped via the UP out to the western states. And so we need to be careful not to disadvantage the circular supply chain any further to the linear supply chain. And so I would caution, there is a desire to have a closed loop system within Colorado, but that can create a lot of inefficiencies because Colorado is a small state with a small population, and many of these facilities to run efficiently require massive volumes that have to come from a variety of states. So that's kind of my thoughts on it.
Thank you, Scott. Barrett?
Yeah, thank you. Barrett Jensen with Waste Connections. Scott Saunders, do you mind, can you please elaborate on that a little bit? So are you saying, as far as pinching the market, and I do just want to state this isn't necessarily my wheelhouse, so I'm learning with everyone as well. Are you saying when it pinches the market, are you saying start lower at a lower percentage and then incrementally work up so that we don't create a huge supply? Or are you saying the opposite of that?
The opposite. What will happen if you have an 8 or 10% recycling rate material coming in, but you have a 25% PCR inclusion requirement? Where is that delta of material going to come from? And it works as long as more states don't have that same approach. So I think to keep the market fluid, we want to grow into a higher rate of inclusion as the material is collected more efficiently and in larger volumes. So the pinch is too much demand and not enough supply. So today, our business is constrained by a lack of supply, not lack of demand. So if we're not careful, we'll further magnify that constraint.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Barrett. And Scott, over to Caroline.
Caroline Mitchell, City of Fort Collins. I also have a follow-up question for you, Scott. It was sort of to build on Barrett's question. I understand the perspective of growing the PCR requirement and the along with the generation. But I'm sort of curious about, and I know this is a Colorado law, so we have to talk about how that would happen within Colorado, but I'm kind of curious where you're talking about it being a national supply chain. If the recycling rate, also similar to Barrett, this is at the edge. This is not my main lane. So apologize for anything I'm saying that's not quite on target. But so say, for instance, the plastics recycling rate for any particular resin in Colorado goes from 8 to 9%. How much does that actually impact the supply chain overall, given that we're a small population, small state? And I guess I'm kind of thinking about how the recycling rate within Colorado specifically relates to the national supply chain and the PCR that would be created at a national level connecting with Colorado's requirements. Did that come down to a question that made sense?
Yeah, in a microcosm, it should not. The fear would be is if Colorado, if Oregon, if some of the other states that are considering EPR that have a lower recycling rate coming in than they do in their requirement, that would create a problem. If Colorado says on an island, hey, we're going to be at a 40% PCR inclusion, knowing that we're at 10% recycling, but we're going to grow that, I don't think that would cause a big disruption because of the size of the state. But if Colorado would be the first of several to do that, and we implemented the PCR requirement before the collection went up, then it could be a problem for supply.
Okay, thank you, Scott. I think we can, Brandon, move to the next slide. We have, again, another set here. We've got about 15 minutes for each of the next two mini sections. So over to you, Pierre.
I think this slide has been covered already through the discussion. So yeah, perfect. We can go to the setting target for minimum PCR content. So here we go. Here's the approach for CAA. So an approach that will set the target for all material, but with different requirement for plastic versus other material, as Liz has clearly visualized that already. So our rationale for this is that, targets are intended to drive market demand, And when it comes to the other material, paper, metal, and glass, this is not necessarily what will change the situation. Paper and metal already have PCR usage as part of the current production. And again, for glass, we believe that using more PCR will be done through higher collection rates of material, aka more supply of glass. Other approach components of our strategy is that we will not apply any bonus or maluses within the first 3 years of the program plan due to a lack of data at the program's onset. So we will start, and you will see on the next slide, we will start with measuring what is actually being used from the producers, and then we will decide how to apply bonuses and maluses. We also propose that targets will be reassessed after the first 3 years in consultation with CDPHE and the advisory board here. And I think this will answer part of your comments, Scott Sanders, making sure that we evolve, as the system is evolving as well. Next slide over, please. So what we propose here is to have a target for plastic and a target for paper, glass, and metal to meet the statutory requirement of, having targets for all those materials. So for the plastic, we propose a target of 10% to begin with by 2030, again, to be reassessed eventually 3 years after the program plan implementation. And for 2035, for the reason I have just explained, we think that we will establish that after we get those data of 3 years of implementation, and then we could set the target for 2035 in consultation with the advisory board and CDPHE. We will ask the producer to report annually on reaching that target, but on a portfolio average. So we will not ask to provide information on product by product category. So that is the target we propose for plastic. When it comes to the other material, we established that target at 20% for 2030, and the same logic apply for 2035 target setting. Here, what we are envisioning is to grant a waiver to the producers if the industry can demonstrate that it reached the target of 20% at the US level. So for instance, if the industry, the paper industry is reporting regularly on this, and glass and metal as well, somehow that they are using on everything that they are producing, they are using at least 20% PCR content, then the producer will have a waiver granted for that reporting. So do we take the question right now, Scott, or at the end, at the pause of?
Rick, we just have 2 more slides here. Do you want to ask your question now, or can you wait till the question period? Either one.
I can wait. It was just relative to this slide and that percentage.
Right. We'll take it now.
Okay. So are you not Rick Hader, Murph's Swordfish Consulting? Are you concerned? I don't know where Pepsi and Coke, they had 2025 PCR standards in play that might have been much higher than this. I don't know where it is, but 10 sounds kind of low to me. Maybe I'm naive, but do you think if they're already higher, you're giving them a pass to go backwards? Do we know where the big players are as it relates to like Coke and Pepsi on PET, for instance?
So that's actually a very good question that we have taken into account. So several ways to unfold this question. First of all, the targets that we see for 2035 or 2030 from the producers are actually around the line of 25%, as you have mentioned. And we have seen like a couple of producers mentioning lately that they will not necessarily be able to reach that target for many different reasons, including some technical limitation in some instances. So and this is the big producers for which we could have some some data because they are reporting that through, for instance, the Consumer Good Forum or the Ellen MacArthur Foundation initiative. But for all the other producers, we don't have any information so far of how much they are using, as you know, how much PCR they are using currently. And this is why what we propose here is to kind of cut the target in the middle at 10%, but to take really the time of documenting that through the first 3 years, so that after we will have a better picture of the situation, and then we could better decide what kind of target would be appropriate to drive the market demand.
Can I make one follow-up? I think this is a good case where maybe you do give them bonuses, these people, because they've gone way over the top. And why, I mean, if you're saying their target was 25 and they're saying they're not going to make 25, but they're going to make 15 or 16, I don't want them going backwards or having this pass. I think we should bonus them to at least stay where they are if they're already in a good place, right?
Well, I don't think they will necessarily go backward because they have made that commitment for other, for other purposes. So the companies like Coke, Pepsi, and all the other big CPGs, I don't believe they will necessarily go backwards on that commitments.
Yeah, Pierre, can I just clarify? You're talking about, and Rick, you're talking about public pledges. They've made commitments, public pledges. They want to reach those rates, but I think you're saying you don't know right now. We don't know how much they're actually using. Is that correct?
For some companies, we know because they report to the Ellen MacArthur Foundation. So we know, and I should precise, we know at a worldwide level, not at a US level, how much they are using. So, at the end, we have a little knowledge of what is being used right now within the US by all the producers.
Okay. Thank you very much for that clarification. Scott Fife.
Thanks, Scott to Fife, Glass Packaging, and I was just going to pick up on Rick's questions here, without talking about any specific target that's here. I was going to echo that a lot of those are pledges, not actual, requirements now, but also this is another area where if you set the target too high, the larger global players who have the capacity to buy up the limited supply. I'll certainly defer to Scott Saunders if he wants to correct me on this. There may be in some resin markets limited supply that the bigger players are going to scoop it all up and the smaller players won't have any, or very little, or the price will skyrocket. So
thank you, Scott. Wolf, do you want to weigh in on this perhaps?
Yeah, just a follow-up clarification question as well on the 10% number, Pierre. I was just curious, does that 10% for plastics at 2030, is that specific to grades on the minimum recyclables list, the MRL and the additional materials list, or all grades of plastic combined?
It will be to all grade of plastic that a producer will have to report on, but again, would be on a portfolio average of products.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. One more question, and then we'll go finish up the slides here. So we'll get to some other questions here, just trying to keep us on time. Go ahead, Caroline.
Just one last question on the percentages here. Caroline Mitchell, City of Fort Collins. From what CAA knows right now, would you say these percentages of 10% and 20% are what's happening status quo with the industry, are a little bit of a stretch, are below what's happening? Do we have a sense for where they fall with status quo?
So for plastic, it's difficult to say because we have less compiled data. Talking to the other material And this is actually what we are going to do, is discussing with the industry representative and, including people like Scott DeFive here, to understand whether or not this is a reachable target and if it's setting the bar too high or too low. So this is part of the upcoming discussion, actually.
Great, thank you, Caroline. Okay, Pierre, take us to the next break slide.
Yeah.
That you got.
Yeah, I think this one was the one with the most comments anyway. So that was setting the targets. If you remember, we have two other requirements. The other one is how to verify the PCR targets. So here, again, we are not going to reinvent the wheel. We are going to rely on what already exists in order to track that PCR content through existing certification. So we are not setting a new standard. We will just develop a framework and compare that to the actual third-party certification, PCR certification, in order to ensure that we are aligned with those. And then, the producer could just report on those PCR content, among others, using those certification. We don't intend to be prescriptive on recycling processes or PCR content geography sources. So producer will be able to just report the PCR they are using in general within the US. In terms of verification for say, we understand that not all PCR are certified by a third-party organization. So we will not require the producer to prove they are using PCR using a certification scheme. But as we will have to undertake a random audit to verify the evidences provided by the producer, we will do these audits only on material that is not PCR certified. So if, for instance, a producer is using a written attestation from a converter that it's using PCR content, this is where we will do the verification, compared to a producer that is using the APR PCR certification program, for instance. We will not be doing a verification in that case. We are also considering, sorry for the cough, we are also considering some waivers to some plastic products. For instance, waivers to products that are regulated not to use recycled content, some pharmaceutical product, for instance. But the waivers will have to be defined, and we will keep in mind the extra reporting requirement that will follow those waivers implementation. Before we jump to the question, next slide over, the question of what chain of custody method we will use to verify the PCR. This is always one of the biggest questions when we go into the detail. We will authorize the different reclaimers and converters to use different chain of custody models. So segregated model, control blending model, which are more often used for batch production. But we will allow for mass balance as well. We understand that mass balance is already part of the chain of custody verification for both mechanical and chemical recycler. And this is why we will make sure that we take that method into account as well. Next slide over is the question from that section, the PCR target, but also the verification approach.
Great. All right. Thank you, Pierre. So I'll just read these. Do you support the proposed approach to set a 10% PCR target for plastic and a 20% PCR target for metals, glass, and fiber? Why or why not? And do you believe that these targets are appropriate? Given the challenges in PCR verification, do you support CAA's proposed approach for verifying producer-reported PCR content rates? If not, what should change? CAA's verification framework will authorize reclaimers and converters to use different chain of custody models, segregated, controlled, mass balance. Do you support the flexibility provided by the possibility to use several chain of custody methods? Barrett, then Liz.
Yes, so Barrett Jensen, Waste Connections of Colorado. So I do agree with the rationale, right? That the intent here is to create a demand, right? And that's good. And I do agree that having those low based off of the data that you do have in the immediate future is probably the best to do, with the option, right, in 3 years of increasing that if that's what the data shows. I do have a question related to that, and then I do have another comment. Sorry, Liz, Scott, Michael, and Scott. So after that 3 years, if it's decided that 10% PCR for target for plastics is now 50%, can that ever be addressed again if there is in fact somehow, right, a huge supply problem where there's way too much supply than there is demand in any of those materials, or is what's set in the 3 years after set in stone, and that's in statute? That's my first question.
Okay.
Gary, do you want to start?
No, actually, I was about to ask you if you wanted to jump in.
Yeah, I can. I mean, so it's not set in statute. It's part of the program plan. The program plan can be amended, and I think there is certainly this question where, as we roll out this program in Colorado, there's lots of things we don't have all of the specific data that we would like to be able to make the decisions that are being made, and so there will be need to revisit. And I think we're trying to create some flexibility within that system to know that as we get better data in, we can make more informed decisions, and we can set those targets more appropriately as we move forward.
Pete, am I hearing you say it could be adjusted as part of the program plan?
We can make amendments to the program plan.
Amendment plan. Okay, thank you.
So if it was decided after the 3 years that it's 50%, it could be scaled back down to 40% or 30% with an amendment to the program plan.
Yeah, I mean, ideally you're not reducing your targets, you're escalating your targets over time. I take your point.
And I think that's why it's good to start small and then incrementally work up, right? Because what I worry about is, collecting it fast enough, and then the possibility of MRFs having to sit on this material, which is not good. Sitting on this material, especially from the local government side, they don't want MRFs doing that. So that material has to move. So it's a happy medium, right? And that's going to be tough target to hit. So I don't know what the exact number is. I'm not educated enough to say no, it should be 12%. I think starting small at a 10 to 20 is probably the most appropriate in my opinion. I could be convinced otherwise, but that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Okay. Thank you, Barrett. Over to Liz, then Scott Saunders, Michael Pratt, Scott DeFife, and Barrett.
Thank you. Liz Chapman, Recycle Colorado. I would echo what Barrett just said about my inclination is to start small and feasible, and then build from there. Given the lack of data that you're dealing with, I am very hesitant to set targets that we may not be able to reach simply because we don't have the information needed to know. So I respect and would agree with a very conservative, low approach. My question to you all is the question you've asked us about the verification framework using different chain of custody models is hard to answer because I don't know that I understand the benefits and drawbacks of those various chain of custody models. The impression I've gotten from the information you have shared is the third-party certification systems that are currently in place recognize all of those chain of custody models. And if that is the case, it seems like for us to say, yes, you can use the segregated chain of custody, but not the mass balance chain of custody would make it challenging then to work with an established third-party certification. So can you elaborate on what kind of options are available and what the reasons to reject one and the reasons to accept all might be?
Yeah, so our intention again is to develop a framework that will decide and choose actually whether, each one of the certification would be appropriate for verification. So yes, our intention is to make sure we could include mass balance, because a lot of those certification schemes are using mass balance, not only for plastic, for the paper industry and metal industry as well. So, over the course of the next weeks, this is what we will do in defining that framework and making sure that it is aligned with what exists elsewhere. I don't know if there will be another opportunity to present the differences between the different certification at some point in time. But it's difficult for me to answer clearly your question, because the assessment of each of the criteria of those certification has not been made yet. It will be made for the program plan submission, but it has not been finalized yet.
So Pierre, one of Liz's questions was also, does the chain of custody recognize these three models? And so are you saying that not quite yet, but that is being developed?
What I'm saying is that some certification might not consider mass balance as a recognized chain of custody calculation method. And if that is the case, then we will not necessarily be able to approve, so to speak, that third-party certification as one that could be used for providing the evidence of reaching the PCR content rates.
Okay, thank you. Scott Saunders.
Yeah, Scott Saunders, KW Plastics. I like the 10% target initially, because I think that probably reflects more closely what Colorado's recycling rate is today and at the beginning of the program. We hope that by 2035, this is a huge success, and you could really elevate that number. The verification, I like that we have the different options, because APR is still working through the process along with some of the verifying agencies. It's only been around for a few years, and so that's still being worked out and defined in a more professional manner. So having some flexibility there is good. As far as the verification framework, I prefer mass balance at the converter level, because you do have technical issues that pop up, and you don't want to be so defined that every particular container must have X, because some containers can accept 5% PCR while the other can accept 25% PCR. And the real purpose of the law is to try to get more material back into the recycling stream. So if a converter can show, hey, we consume 100 million pounds of plastic material and we bought 10 million pounds of recycled resin, then that suffices to, in my thought process, the 10% requirement. And then they place that in the appropriate containers where it works. The more you try to define that, the more problems you run into with processes and production and aesthetics that cause a lot of problem in the supply chain.
Thank you, Scott. Over to Michael.
Yeah, good afternoon again. Michael Pratt with Sunoco. I think I have 2 or 3 questions, so hopefully not too many here. But I think my first is really around, is there going to be a waiver process? Thinking about these goals, and so I think I'm supportive of them for the most part. But thinking about this is going to apply to a lot of different types of packaging, right? But when we think about specifically food contact, for example, will there be or how's that, I guess, taken into account in these numbers, or would there potentially be a waiver process for technical feasibility issues, or perhaps in some cases material availability? So that kind of be question one. My second question is more, I think there was a kind of caveat, basically, if the industry could prove that there was a certain recycling rate for a specific type of material, then at a national level, then there would be basically be kind of good to go from that perspective. I'd just like to understand if that is going to be by material type, meaning OCC versus boxboard recycling rate, or in the case of plastic, PET versus PVC, or is that simply glass, paper, plastic? That's second question. And the third one is really just around, I think the certification piece is really interesting. It's very nuanced. You know, if certifications are not required, I think there's pros and cons to both. I think there'll definitely need to be a robust set of definitions, formulas, et cetera, because the way that perhaps some people count a recycled or what is counted as recycled could be very dependent on what their definition is or kind of their thought process. So that one's probably more of a comment, but be happy to understand if there's any answers to the first two questions there.
Okay.
Yeah, so on the waiver, the short answer is yes. This is something that would be considered. When it comes to waiver, and that kind of linked to the second question, actually, the reason why we are setting that on a broad category, which is paper, because yes, the intent is not to go product by product, but material by material. So paper instead of OCC or printed paper or that kind of subcategories. So the intent of going with the broad category is actually to make sure we don't have too many waivers, because as the more waivers you have, the more reporting requirements you generate, because the waivers are not necessarily associated with the reporting category from the producers. So for instance, to follow your example, if you say that a waiver should be granted for food grade type of packaging, that means we need to have a category for food grade paper products, which is not necessarily the case right now. So this is why waiver will be considered, but they will be considered with cautious on this. So I hope I answered both of the question actually within one within that answer.
Pierre, I think maybe plastics is a good example too on food grade, where you potentially have, all of the various different resins that will likely be included, and then you're going to need multiple different than food grade versus non-food grade categories, which starts to become quite complicated as to how producers are reporting in.
Indeed, and as Scott has mentioned, there is every product almost has its own engineering recipe. So it could multiply the waivers by each one of them, and that could create a big burden, administratively speaking.
Thank you. Okay, Scott, Barrett, and then Rick. Scott DeFife.
Thank you, Scott DeFife, Glass Packaging. I will just generally align with the other board members in saying that the rates look relatively appropriate, and urge the consideration of the greatest amount of flexibility. There's every material is different. I do want to, on targets and things of that nature, I do want to raise a point or two in each of the categories, especially with the verification, certification. These are, again, the APR is a work in progress. It's focused on plastics. I need to make myself familiar with the other certification progress. A lot of this is very new for products that are not plastic, that have had to deal with these requirements for longer periods of time than the other ones. And again, I will say your medium and your smaller producers are going to have a lot more difficult time tracing the source of their packaging material. Maybe just in our world, but I would imagine in other worlds, because they are less likely to be dealing directly with a packaging manufacturer, and probably through a third-party wholesale supplier. And if they're using what we would call relatively stock, industry standard mayonnaise jar is a mayonnaise jar. Multiple producers make that mayonnaise jar all over the world. Where they get that stock in the first quarter of 2026 could be very different from where they get that material in the third quarter of 2025. So the supply chain changes, all of that changes. That is to say, you may want to consider some variable alternatives to the producer reported PCR content rates in your second bullet, in that, at least in our world, every single time you ask a producer what their PCR content rate is, it's going to circle back to one of my member companies or their allied suppliers in other parts of the world, because we're making the raw material and we're converting the package in the same factory setting. The only opportunity to know exactly how much PCR material is being introduced into the furnace in that batch mix is in that period where the batch is actually being made. So it's just not a standard piece of data that's tracked all the way through, every industry.
Great, thank you, Scott. Over to Rick.
Yes, Rick Cater, Swordfish Consulting, MRFs. I think the MRF is probably the unique stakeholder in this whole conversation, because as we're looking, as the MRF, we're looking for higher content levels to drive demand, to drive price, that then allows us to go after those products in a more robust way. So for instance, SOP, sorted off. We'd be interested in you setting higher content level requirements on office paper, so that that price would go up, so that we could then apply more effort towards recovering that higher grade paper and make it a more sustainable grade in our MRF. So we're kind of anxious. We'd like you to be driving demand, and we don't see at the MRF level products sitting around, because now KW is super interested in our product, and they're demanding that we find more material for them, and they're paying us a higher price for that material. It's not a good thing for KW, but I just wanted you guys to know that in the MRF world, we kind of like that kind of world, because it bumps up our values for our commodities and gives us more availability to go after yield. Otherwise, the SOP goes into mixed paper if we don't have a high enough price to merit us actually sorting it out. Does that make sense? Thank you.
Thank you. Darla, Brandon, do we have the slides up, or can we get the slides up again, please? Excellent. Thank you. I'd like to move, seeing there's no other questions here, to the next set. It's a smaller number. I think it's 2.
Yeah. 2, I mean, yeah.
It's the next slide, 23, please.
So again, 3 requirements from the beginning: setting the targets, verifying the PCR content, and the last one is to provide the producer with the opportunity to purchase PCR, which is honestly a very complex requirement to implement. And before we explain what we envision, wanted to highlight what happened in the European Union for that, because they have considered a similar approach for PET mainly. So as part of the packaging and packaging waste regulation, which is the big regulation policy change in the European Union lately, they have considered a similar approach, which they call the right to priority access. And it was really important for PET bottle producers because of competition with other sectors, such as the textile industry. So it was considered for PET only, not even for paper and other products. And it was not considered for other resin, because back then it was not deemed important that there would be a lack of competition between for other material, for other market with that materials. So there is a lot of pros and cons for this. I have just highlighted a couple of them. Again, coming from the European Union directly, among the pros is that it's a principle that aligns with EPR principle, and it clearly encourages closed loop recycling. On the cons, however, it's kind of it could create a market distortion between the different players.
Pierre, is anyone seeing the slides, or did they just disappear here? Okay, so maybe Pierre, just wait 1 second, please. We're just having a little technical glitch.
I think Brandon is having internet connection problems.
I see.
So we'll see what we can do here real quick.
Is Megan or you maybe a backup for that?
I don't know if you want me doing it, but I can try.
Or would you like Pierre to try
Nope.
his way?
No,
Okay.
we'll
I don't know
get
who
it.
has I don't know who has
We'll
the
get it.
access, who's the host, who gets privileges here. You've got those controls.
Let me see.
Now you know who has the real power. Who's got
I don't
the
know if I do, but I'm looking.
Maybe while you do that, I could bring the conclusion from the European Union, because this is what matters for the next slide, is that at the end, there were no agreements between the different producers, the different stakeholders. And it's a very much more complex process than it seems, with a lot of unknown effects on the market, because I have mentioned some potential market distortion on this. So they have decided not to move forward with that right to priority access model. So it's an interesting case for us, because again, this is something similar that we could experience here. We know that Colorado is not a deposit state, and we know that from the Colorado needs assessment, we know that some of the PET bottle are actually used by the textile industry, namely the carpet industry. And so what we are, at the end, we have not come up with a right approach yet for that specific requirements. We have decided that we will take some more time to understand what would be the impact of X and Y decision. But if we are to take one, we will likely limit that to plastic material, and more specifically to PET material, for the same reason that I have just explained. Yeah, perfect. So if you go to the next slide, actually. So yeah, again, we will be limiting the approach to plastic material, and more specifically to PET, but we need to think that through a bit more. Besides direct procurement, we are considering also solution that could eventually be able to meet the requirement from the statutory requirements. One of them is just to provide resources to support producers in identifying who are the PCR suppliers. And another one would be to incentivize the reclaimer to produce PCR content suitable for packaging application. The how of each of those approach or solution would have to be determined over the course of the next few weeks. So the next slide actually is the question, Scott. I'll let you read them.
I'll give you a break, Pierre. All right, here we go. So do you think a direct procurement approach should focus on a single material to begin with? 2, if CAA were to focus on a specific material for a direct procurement approach, which material should be considered and why? For example, PET, glass, etc. Number 3, besides direct procurement, CAA is considering other solutions for providing producers with the opportunity to purchase PCR materials. So which of the following options would you prefer and why? Number 1, providing resources to support producers in identifying potential PCR suppliers. Incentivizing reclaimers to produce PCR content suitable for packaging applications. 3, incentivizing the use of PCR for producers, especially for materials with inadequate demand. And are there other ideas worth considering? Scott DeFife.
Thank you, Scott DeFife, Glass Packaging. I'll go first on this round rather than wait to the end. I think it makes sense to focus on plastic first, given the way that you're setting up the construct, right? Just a note, right? Maybe some footnotes. I think every material has some non-packaging end market users of the recycled content that sometimes are in competition with the packaging requirements. And to the extent that the packaging that's being introduced under the law has some sort of PCR requirement upon it, right? This is where the logic of making sure that the producers have access to the material that they're helping to pay for the collection of. I would leave open the opportunity to make sure that adequate amounts of material are getting to the end markets. Again, the producer doesn't really buy the material from, like, the material suppliers buy the material to remake into the new packaging. But my second question is also going to be, I believe there's probably a requirement for the CAA to be somehow either maybe not itemizing, but disclosing, where the material that's collected through the program is going somewhere, and the CAA probably has disclosure requirements about maybe not business, but overall disclosure of where the materials go.
So those are two questions there about is there a requirement for CAA to sort of disclose where the material's collected, have more transparency? I guess are there protocols, or is there a requirement legally for this?
Sorry, where it's collected? I just want to make sure I understand that.
Scott, can you keep your mic
No,
on?
no, what the end markets are, where it goes.
Where the material's going. Okay, end markets.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a requirement for us to make sure that it's going to a responsible end market. And I know there's sensitivities certainly around the private service providers around markets and where that material is going. So I think we're trying to provide some sensitivity around that by also making sure that we can get a third party auditor to ensure that they're going to a responsible end market and that material is being used. There is requirements for us to improve markets so that you can go packaging to packaging. So there is likely for a desire for us to sort of get a better sense as to what those end markets are, Scott. It's difficult, right? Like, I mean, steel is a great example where, I mean, packaging makes up next to nothing of the end market for steel, right? Much more larger markets when it comes to infrastructure and things like that, where that material is going. So,
yeah, for glass, the end market is in the state. They're a necessary step in the processing of the material to turn it into recycled content for remanufacture, and they have all the other access to the places where it might go, including non-packaging, end markets. If it were to end up, if there was some extra spare green glass that that ended up going to fiberglass in Utah, or for example, that's going to be known and managed by the processor that is cleaning up the material to turn it into usable material in the first place. So, yeah.
Thank you, Scott. Pete. Okay, over to Rick.
Rick Hader, Swordfish Consulting, MRFs. So I like the idea of PET. I think you need to really reflect on the fact that we are currently allowing a certain percentage of thermoform PET to be introduced to bottle stock PET, and at about 20%, that becomes a non-go. So I think somehow, some way, you're going to have to figure out how to decouple PET thermoform from PET bottle stock and try to encourage end markets for thermoform. So how you do that by maybe requiring content in thermoform manufacturers, but somehow you've got to decouple those two commodities, because allowing thermoform in our bottle stock at some point is going to hit a critical threshold where it no longer is, where it becomes a problem for us in the MRF. Thank you.
Thanks, Rick. Pierre, do you want to speak to thermoforms at all, or?
Do we have a whole session we can have on thermoform? Yeah, that's a very good point. That 20% threshold, and even for some companies, is even lower. Some recyclers, it's even lower than that. So that's a fair comment. Definitely something that we will be looking at, because, you know, from Canada where I am sitting, it's a question that is ongoing. We know we have in market for PET thermoform that are mixed with bottle to a certain degree. So it's something that needs to be considered. So, you know, thank you for bringing that up.
Okay, thank you, Liz, and then Scott Saunders.
Thank you, Liz Chapman, Recycle Colorado. In what I heard you say, Pierre, when we were with the slides and the European model, is that direct procurement did not work in that context, or it wasn't that it didn't work, it was that you could not get the stakeholders to all agree on how to make it work? Okay, so it seems that it is not reasonable to pursue a path that someone that has been doing this longer is not finding success. My question would be, the three options that you have listed under outside of direct procurement, the resources and the incentives, is there any evidence from other jurisdictions that those approaches work?
So, well, you know, providing resources to support producers in finding the right suppliers, it's kind of difficult to track at the end, because one of the reasons that direct procurement is complex is because you don't necessarily want to be involved in B2B transactions. So providing resources for producers in that regards mean that as soon as the introduction has been made, you know, CAA is out of the discussion. So it's difficult to track whether or not, you know, it's an efficient method, but, you know, it's not doing any harm, in other words. When it comes to incentivizing the use of PCR, or, you know, incentivizing the reclaimers, I'm trying to think about other jurisdictions, because it's also a new, you know, a new approach that is being tested even in Europe. It's not yet implemented for a sufficient number of years, so we'd have data to provide the result back, actually. So if you don't mind, I could, you know, dig a bit more on that and get back to you, because I apologize, I don't have a clear answer for you on this one.
Okay, thank you. Scott got that. He needs to drop off for a minute, but over to Scott Saunders, KW Plastics. Scott?
Yeah, Scott Saunders, KW Plastics. I'm not a fan of direct procurement. You know, look, there are a lot of subtleties in that the supplier-supply relationship, and knowing how to make those products work, and any interruption in that is problematic. I think the best that we can do is create supply and create demand, and then let the marketplace work itself out that way. You know, incentivizing the use of PCR by producers that aren't really using the material where there's inadequate demand seems like a good idea. I would like to incentivize the producer to use back the material they create. Keep it in mind that without the fiber market for clothing and for carpeting, there would be no PET recycling today, right? The packaging is late to the party. Without agricultural pipe, without flower pots, without car parts, there would be no recycling of mixed colored high density today. And probably only about 10 or 15% of that material is going back into packaging today. And without durable products, there would be no recycling of polypropylene food containers today. So we want to realize and make that material available to these newer markets without disincentivizing what has supported this whole supply chain for the last 25 years.
Good point. Okay, so we're at a point here. We've gone over this little bit. So we're going to take a 5-minute break right now. And I want to see if Brandon, if you're back with us here, or maybe Darla, usually mention that we will have a public comment period for those that are the public that are tuning in here. We will have that. We're going to come back from our break at 5 minutes, and we're hopefully going to get that break slide up in a minute. And we're going to do end markets when we come back. So in the meantime, we're going to give you 5 minutes, and that is starting now. Thank you. Okay, welcome back, everyone. Going to give everyone a chance to turn back on their videos. All right, so we are now moving to end markets, and we have about 15 slides here. There will be then another transition to CAA updates, and then there will be public comment on all of the information that we have gone over. So with that, let me now turn it over to Pete. Are you doing the end markets?
I am. I apologize to the group that I am unfortunately taking over for Pierre. He had a family appointment to get to, and I was not going to stand in the way of him getting to that appointment. So
great. We are happy to have you, Pete. You've endeared yourself to this group, so the floor is yours.
Perfect. Thanks, Scott. So the statutory requirements for end markets. So under the current legislation, the producer responsibility program plan needs to address how the pro will invest in recycling end market development and innovations in Colorado. And just specifically speaking to when we talk about recycling responsible end markets, what are we speaking to? It's a materials market in which the recycling of materials or disposal of contaminants is conducted in a way that benefits the environment and minimizes risk to public health and worker health and safety. This is a pretty standard definition that is being used in a number of the current states that are moving forward with EPR. So it is a very broad type of statement. It does to some degree lack some of the substance of what that exactly means. And so, I think that is where we are looking to make sure that we get into specifics around how we're going to look to verify those end markets. The Act also requires that the program plan describe how the pro will ensure the covered materials collected are transferred to a responsible end market, how the organization will evaluate and monitor the use of responsible end market through methods such as processor contracts or financial incentives, and invest in market development for covered materials within the state. Next slide. So this is a common, I think, theme that comes up quite a few times, as I think there has at times been in conversations we've been having in different jurisdictions, just a question of what is the difference between market development and end market verification. So end market development is around increasing the capacities, both volume and quality, to process and incorporate recovered materials and take new materials. There is a fair amount of activities that are being undertaken by other entities already, and we'll talk a little bit about some of those groups as part of the next couple of slides. End market verification speaks to the auditing of end market facilities in accordance with standards that need to be put in place. So do they comply with laws and regulations? What are the potential social and environmental impacts associated with those facilities? And are they ensuring that they are meeting best practices? And we have talked to this to some degree already, but we have talked about the fact that we would be looking at activities undertaken by a third-party auditor, and that is really about ensuring that the organizations that we are working with, they can be assured that there is confidentiality associated with the work that's being undertaken, as well as impartiality in how those audits are completed. Next slide over, Scott, or Brandon. I don't know who's doing the slides right now, so.
Brandon.
Brandon, it looks like your internet is working well, so that is good news. So we are proposing some guiding principles for responsible end markets. So the first is seek cost effectiveness. So leverage the work from other organizations, both for verification and market development, to optimize efforts and to reduce burden on end markets. I think Pierre has spoken a little bit to this already. Focus on overcoming market barriers and inefficiencies. So use the lowest cost method to overcome the barriers, and use financial incentives to de-risk investments, as opposed to CAA making direct investments into facilities when possible. Remain technology agnostic, and we spoke to this, I think, earlier as well, allowing for the use of different technologies, provided the process is deemed responsible and the states do not prevent the use of those specific technologies. Balance both national and state needs. So tailor the actions within the state to meet specific needs and opportunities based on each of those EPR states. Focus on local entities for development, and overseas entities for verification. So we know that the focus will look at driving capacity within North America. At the same time, we know some of the largest risks are around overseas markets, and so making sure there is a focus on verifying those overseas markets to make sure that materials are being managed responsibly. Maintain accuracy and transparency whenever possible. So ensure that there's a transparent process. And again, I say this at the same time, understanding that there is also a need when we talk about some of the work that's being done for confidentiality around proprietary data or information from those markets. And then foster collaboration. So support a downstream value chain, including potentially brokers, intermediaries, as well as market development focused organizations. So looking at those various organizations that are in play to work together to drive improvements. Next slide. And Scott, I will leave you for the questions.
Great. All right. So as you can see here, are there any questions about the state statute regarding responsible end markets and end market development requirements? And are there additional general approach principles or revisions to principles CAA should include?
I'm not seeing any right now, Scott, so maybe I'll keep motoring
going. Sure.
I know that we've got a few slides to go through, so
Thank you.
do my best to make sure we get through. So this is a pretty key part, and a key difference to, I think, some other jurisdictions like Canada. In all of the current EPR states that we are working on, MRFs retain the ownership of the materials and determine where those materials are sent. So we do not have direct control over material flows. There is a small exception when it comes to pro materials in Oregon. However, the end market development requires the availability of sufficient suitable quality supply. So we do have a difficulty, a bit of a disconnect in that factor that we are not controlling the flows, but they are being controlled by others within the marketplace. Long-term contracts are needed so the value chain can make investments with their own financing. As a result, CAA's capacity to influence market flow to develop end markets will mainly be driven by various tools, such as contract agreements with service providers and incentives to end markets. CAA will strive to harmonize its end market development approach across states as much as possible. Preliminary market assessments have identified similar materials of interest for market development in the work that's been done. So the needs assessment here in Colorado, as well as work that's been undertaken in California and Oregon. So looking at specific materials like flexible plastic packaging and as we've talked about earlier today, around PET thermoforms. Robust markets often pull materials from multiple states and regions to achieve operational efficiencies. And as a result, we will look to develop a national approach while considering regional needs. Next slide. I mean, we've talked about this, I think, largely as well already as part of the Colorado Needs Assessment, but Colorado has had several recycling end market challenges, including geography. There is definitely difficulties in moving materials across a state that has mountains that break up that state, and varying degree of road conditions. Population density in Colorado is largely in the Front Range, densely populated, and then much more sparse in other parts of the region. Low solid waste tipping fees, which is often an issue in jurisdictions, and a relatively small manufacturing base. Colorado has been looking, though, to bolster local end markets through existing programs and grants. So there are things that we can leverage that are in place right now. State programs that are currently in place, and we've talked about many of those state grants or state programs already. State and federal institutions that have been set up, and then other investor opportunities like things like closed loop, and other opportunities like that have been set up to help to support and drive end market development. CA's plan will outline a process to invest in developing Colorado end markets through supply side interventions, looking at where we might be able to partner and work with other organizations like the Colorado Circular Economy Development Center, and then looking at areas like rigid and flexible PE and PP plastics might also be an opportunity for us to look at opportunities for market development. Next slide. The overall objective is to increase the use of post-consumer covered materials in product manufacturing. Our specific role is to identify and address barriers and inefficiencies in the marketplace, encourage recyclable material suppliers, processors, and end users to improve the outcomes, and to invest in efforts to support market development. The outcomes we are looking to achieve: improve the quality of material supply so it matches desired end market specifications. Market demand rises to match rising collection volumes. Enhanced market stability, and I think this is an important one, and one in which the EPR policies can help, specifically around recycling markets, is helping to create stability. Reliable and efficient recycled material flows to create valuable commodities or products. Next slide. So I'll talk about the sort of two-phase side to this, and I think the next slide is really going to talk about the sort of first sort of bracket around what's initiated. So we have done a fair amount of work right now within Colorado and within other states to analyze supply and demand, to identify barriers and inefficiencies, and consider tools to address barriers. The next step, as we look at what needs to be completed in the program plan, is identifying and assessing the opportunities, identifying resources and partners, and develop and implement responsible materials. What is that? RMD. Recycling market development strategy. Sorry.
RMD, it's right on the slide.
No, sorry. Next slide. I think we're looking to identify priority target materials. And as I said, I think that the Colorado Needs Assessment already did some of this work around looking at covered materials and identifying those, having marketability issues. Oregon has done some work. They are requiring CA to perform a market assessment. They're much more definitive in what the work that CA needs to do. Colorado has taken much more of a flexible approach. California system mapping has begun, but some materials are already identified as priorities by various stakeholders. So they've talked about flexibles, PET, and thermoforms. So I think when we look at a preliminary list of priority target materials, we look at things like polycoated packaging, including paper cups. I think we've talked about those quite a bit already. Flexible plastic packaging, focused on HDPE, LDPE, and PP film, PET thermoforms, aluminum foil, and glass. And then when we look at preliminary list of priority target commodities, we're looking at mixed paper and mixed plastic. So we are right now finalizing our assessment, identifying how to address the barriers and prioritizing the materials. So we are looking at technical feasibility, volume, opportunities to address cross-material barriers, and opportunities to address challenges in those multiple states in which we're operating in. Next slide. We are in the process of hiring a new director of material services. So that job is currently posted. That individual will be overseeing opportunity identification, the definition of different partners' roles that might play in it, and the implementation of that recycling market development strategy. Potential opportunities include the establishment of a dedicated responsible end market fund through the producer dues schedule, incentivizing downstream operations such as sorting performance through contracts with MRFs, improving cleaning processes, or producing high-grade end products at reclaimers, and incentivizing end market facility expansion to consume the increased supply that will be generated. We're also looking at the establishment of partnerships and the use of collaborative processes to leverage existing private and public sector programs and resources in order to work to overcome supply and/or technical barriers. So that includes both upstream and downstream, and to grow demand for Colorado PCR and recycled content products. Next slide over.
Here we are. Here's the questions. 5 of them this time. So let's go through them. I'll give Pete a break. So what do you believe are the most critical barriers to materials marketability that need to be overcome in Colorado? Do you agree with the proposed list of materials identified for the focus of recycling market development? Are you aware of opportunities for establishing new end markets within Colorado? And if so, what are they? Besides CEDC, Circular Colorado, Next Cycle, Recycle Colorado, and OEDIT, are there other in-state organizations working on end market development that CAA should be aware of? Do you have any suggestions for additional actions that CAA should take to strengthen Colorado recycling markets? And last, do you agree with CAA's approach to harmonize its end markets approach across states? Why or why not? Scott Saunders and then Rick.
Yeah, Scott Saunders, KW Plastics. The most critical barrier is going to be the fact that Colorado is a little isolated from the supply chain. Most of the consumption that occurs in the materials is going to be well east of the Rocky Mountains, typically along the Mississippi River corridor. So you're a little bit removed. The materials such as high density polyethylene, PET, and polypropylene, rigid materials, as well as bulky sorted high density, have good active markets and will not need a lot of promotion or incentive from the CAA to move those materials. I think that they should focus on the more difficult to move materials, which are going to be the multi-layer or the film type materials. Yeah, I think the trying to harmonize in markets is probably a good idea.
Thank you, Scott. Rick, and then Scott DeFife.
Rick Hader, Murph's Swordfish Consulting. So harmonizing sounds really great, but we got to understand that California is super different than Colorado, and trying to harmonize with their end markets is going to be they use different end markets than we do predominantly. So that will be a rub. I do on the back on the last slide, I think you identified mixed plastics as a focus. Is that right? Maybe it's the one before this one.
Yep, on 36. Yep, there it is. Yep.
So the mixed paper I get, since most of the products you're adding to the list will increase mixed paper in particular, so we need to target end markets for mixed paper, especially if you're going to include cups and things of that nature. The mixed plastics I don't understand, since we're carving out resin types, and I don't see anywhere on the priority list something called mixed plastics. So what can you describe what mixed plastics is? What are you speaking to here that you're targeting?
So I guess the question back, I guess, is are there not mixed plastic bales that are being produced out of the MRF?
There are, but they're produced because those MRFs don't have optical sorters to pop the polypro or to, you know what I mean? So they make a mixed pack because they don't have the technology to get there. So you're gonna bring that technology to these MRFs, and they're gonna be able to sort to the resin types that you've identified on the list, right?
I think over time we're going to be looking to do that, yes, but it won't be done overnight, Rick.
Okay, so in this case, you're saying mixed plastics is a plant that can't sort to the level that the 3 or 4 major plants can on the Front Range, and so those are going to be shipped down to the Republic plant down in Nevada to do the separation and stuff like that. That's what you're looking at? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Everything else I agree with Scott. I think he's right on. This is his wheelhouse. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Scott DeFife.
Scott DeFife, Glass Packaging and Institute. I need to go back and start with a more fundamental question. Sorry, I had to drop off for about 15 minutes. And Peter, I'm just apologize in advance if this sounds like a discordant note. What does it mean to be on the priority materials targeted list here? Because I really don't want to bring in the issues with Oregon into the Colorado debate, but we can if that's what we need to do if we're going to talk about harmonization of the process. But there's a lot of problems with Oregon and the initial decisions that were made out there. We've poked holes in most of the data that led to some of those decisions and resolved that largely so that the glass does not need to be on the priority targeted markets list in Oregon, nor do I think it needs to be on that list in Colorado. With regard to end market development, the end markets are all there.
Yeah.
Every single end market that needs glass can double their intake of glass if they can get access to it. It is not a need for more end markets.
Okay.
Nor is there a need to charge producers who use glass more to develop end markets just because we're bypassing the end markets that already exist.
Does that include cleanup of some of the glass that's coming through, Scott?
Now, if that's what it is, if it's targeting the glass because it's moving through single stream commingled MRFs and you need to target that for equipment, that's a different question. But in terms of the development of end markets, that's not necessary.
Okay.
Right? And that was the primary problem in Oregon's first draft plan that I've talked with other Oregon staff about, and we've largely resolved that issue, right? There were some very peculiar, to Rick's point about Oregon and California, there were some very peculiar, unique demands of the regulator in Oregon that do not exist in Colorado to the extent that I am aware, and do not exist in the law in California to the extent that I am aware, that were pushing the CAA staff to make certain, preliminary decisions that we've now largely resolved and will be resolved in the second PRO plan. I think that, if it's about equipment and targeting equipment to clean up the material at the MRFs, that's a discussion over here, but it doesn't necessarily equate in my mind to extra end market development, which already exists. And then I can go through some of this, but I go back to that first.
Let me take it back. Let me take it back to the team and get back to you on that one.
Okay.
Great. Thank you, Scott.
Thanks. I'll stop.
Good point. Okay. Pete, seeing no other hands here, why don't we progress through the next couple here, and then I think we'll be at the end of at least this section. Oh, we've got Liz under the buzzer. All right, Liz.
Liz Chapman, Recycle Colorado. One of the questions I have back to you, Pete, is I do not see on this slide any discussion about compost end markets. Is that because compost end markets are out of scope for this? Or is that also, okay. With Clinton gone, I had to bring compost into the conversation. And the question about suggestions for additional actions that CAA should take to strengthen Colorado recycling markets, I believe that my organization will have some comments to submit to answer that question in terms of actions or strategies that might be undertaken to strengthen Colorado recycling markets, primarily strengthening the demand for goods made with recycled content.
Perfect. Yeah, no, we would very much appreciate that. And Liz, if there's Cole's notes that you want to provide in draft ahead of time, I am sure the team would appreciate that. There's lots of work going on all at the same time right now. So certainly any sort of nudges ahead of time would be helpful.
Okay.
Thank you, Liz. All right. Pete, go for it.
So we'll talk just briefly around end market verification. States with EPR have harmonized on the definition of responsible end markets, but not on the requirements. And this fits with Oregon being very prescriptive in what they have laid out. CDPHE has not been. So we are looking right now at CA's verification approach to be adapted from Oregon. We are looking to ensure that there is some harmonization so that if materials are going to Scott's facility, Scott, who has his hand up right now, that he is not receiving or required to do two different types of verification processes, one for Colorado and one for Oregon. Some end markets are likely to be the same for different states, and I think that fits to my comments earlier around sites like KW, where materials are going to come from multiple different jurisdictions into those facilities. End market entities have strong concerns over the concept of REMS, responsible end markets. This is a very new type of concept that is being implemented not only here in the US, but it's starting to become more predominant in Canada and throughout Europe. So the type of data that we are asking for goes beyond what they would have shared in the past. And most of them, although it may be shocking for all of you that have had to listen to me for 30 odd presentations, have no idea who CAA is. And that issue becomes even more predominant as we move into overseas markets. So as a result, the REM verification will have to evolve over time. We do understand that we need to evolve this process. We need to make sure that people are comfortable with the process and that we allow for flexibility in how that process is implemented. And I will stop, Scott, because I see your hand, and I will let you ask your question or make your comment.
Yeah, okay, yeah, Scott Saunders, KW Plastics. Or the Oregon requirements are really problematic for the industry, and I think if they are not modified, you will see a lot of plastic scrap consumers not participate in the Oregon market because the level of detail they want violates a lot of competitive guidelines as far as revealing the end market customers and where it goes. I think that's a mistake if Colorado goes down that route. I think there are other ways to verify responsible end markets. I think that's something that you should really take a look at. If it's going to be a third party verification, who is that going to be? Is it going to be self-reporting? Those type of things. But I'd be very cautious about following Oregon's model because you could greatly limit the amount of markets that participate in your material.
Thank you. Let me go to Wolf, Scott, if you don't mind, just to see if he usually comes in with some department information that's very important. So, Wolf,
yes,
please.
indeed. Thanks, Scott. Wolf Cray, CDPHE. I just want to build on what Pete said. The definition of responsible end market in the Act is very broad and leaves a lot up to interpretation. So within the producer responsibility regulations and the solid waste regulations, we did further clarify and refine what it qualifies as a responsible end market. As you can see, it's not super detailed as well. We wanted to leave some flexibility with this term, but did further refine that to be a responsible end market, an entity must be in compliance with all environmental laws and regulations, and additionally minimize risk to public health and worker safety. So it's still pretty open, but there's a minimum standard set that anybody who would need to qualify or wants to qualify under this term still needs to comply with the Clean Air Act, with emissions, Clean Water Act, with releases, RCRA, solid waste, haz waste, all those requirements. So just a little bit of additional context.
Thank you, Wolf. And Wolf's referring to what he put into the chat if you did not see that. Thank you, Wolf. Over to Scott DeFife, then to Liz and Rick.
Thank you very much, Scott DeFife, Glass Packaging Institute. I am going to echo Scott Saunders' comments and probably double down on them. There is significant concern with Oregon's interpretation and requirements in the responsible end markets that I believe that would inhibit the trade. There's all sorts of extra what above and beyond what Wolf put in the chat. I fear if Colorado go down that path, you will be limiting the export opportunity for the end markets coming from Colorado. I would strongly recommend the CAA that you, much like on the previous set of slides where you were talking about international and domestic, I believe that most of the states have the same basic requirements about adhering to the RCRA and all of the things that Wolf has put in the chat. And if your end markets are domestic end markets, you should be okay in most of the United States to do that. You may want to trust but verify, but most of the responsible end market language in Oregon was developed for overseas markets and doesn't necessarily need to apply to domestic end markets within the United States, or even US, Canada, Mexico, USMCA requirements along that lines. It is extraordinarily troubling. And what we are hearing, I'm not even necessarily just talking about our material. I believe that there are other materials on this call that may want to echo this. Is a lot of concern about the regulations in Oregon on responsible end markets.
Thank you, Scott. Over to Liz.
Thank you, Liz Chapman, Recycle Colorado. Wolf, I would like some clarification both for myself and the listening audience. When you post this definition about compliance with applicable state and federal environmental laws, does that mean that entities that are located outside of the state, outside of the nation, are only going to be acceptable if they comply with Colorado and US regulations? So in other words, if there is a processor in a foreign country with different regulations, how is that reconciled with this regulation for Colorado?
Thanks, Liz. Good question. I think we would interpret it the same way. So any entity, whether it be in the US or out of country, would still be subject to the applicable environmental regulations for air or water. So the verification for that, I think, requires still some type of auditing process that CAA is going to need to look into. But obviously, once it leaves the state of Colorado, we no longer have direct control. Once it leaves the US, it's even harder. So I think there does need to be some vetting that needs to go into that, just to make sure that it is a responsible end market. But ultimately, the goal is to ensure have the materials utilized domestically and to incentivize remanufacturing and operations that are doing so in a protective manner, right? So that's the primary focus where we're at.
Thank you. Okay, Rick.
Yeah, Rick Hader, Swordfish Consulting, MRFs. I'm going to echo what Scott said. We're fortunate in Colorado that most of our materials are domestic or North American, but even Mexico doesn't abide by Colorado standards. So selling into Mexico would be problematic. And so that would be very difficult for all of us. The other thing I wanted to ask is how do a lot of the MRFs don't even, we don't go direct to end market. We go through brokers, and those brokers ship God knows where in many cases. So we're going to have to figure out how we cut deals with brokers to assure that those end markets that they're selling into meet the requirements. So it is going to be fairly complicated. And I can see West Coast guys going crazy over this, but thanks very much.
Pete.
So, I think you bring up certainly a good point, Rick. I think the concern with materials where you don't know where they go is, I think, part of one of the concerns that producers now being responsible in the system have a responsibility to make sure that these materials are being managed properly. And so we want to make sure that we understand where those materials are going. There's lots of horror stories around recyclable materials ending up in places they shouldn't end up. And so there is a general push to ensure that there is some more rigor within this system. So I think, and if I can, I'll just jump through the last couple of slides. I think we are trying to think through and allow for steps to be taken in order to establish this system. So if we could just move one more slide forward. So we are looking at a 3-step approach. I won't mention the state that starts with an O. We're only looking to request verification on key criteria that is related to environmental performance and health and safety. Reimbursements to MRFs will only happen if the materials are being sent to responsible end markets. We will be contracting a third party to gather the data from MRFs and end market entities, and we will automatically approve markets that have been approved in other states. So we're not looking to create a system where end markets need to be verified multiple times, but where they're verified once. Next slide over. So we're looking, when we talk about the three-step process, we're looking at first an initial screening. So we would obtain a self-attestation form from those end markets that are that processing is being undertaken collaboratively by CAA and Colorado MRFs. The end markets that complete and submit that form will initially be verified. Step 2, we will look at ongoing a data review. Ourselves or a certified body contracted by CAA will review the data on a quarterly basis to ensure that Colorado materials are going to those verified markets. And then step 3, I'll emphasize that I do understand that step 3 will take time, but we will look then to audit. So certified bodies would be contracted by CAA to verify compliance with those responsible end markets standards, including on-site audits every 5 years and annual desktop verification. So I think there's an understanding that this will take time to put in place. This is a new consideration, but it's trying to get to this issue, which is concerns that the public and others have about how materials are being managed and trying to ensure that they are being managed appropriately. And again, I think we're not trying to go beyond what is being asked for in the legislation, but trying to meet what is being asked for in the legislation. Next slide.
All right, here's some questions. Just to change voices for a minute and give Pete a rest. So does the three-step verification process that Pete just went over on the previous slide, does that make sense? Initial verification, data review, and audit. If not, what recommendations do you have for adjusting it? Do you agree with CAA's approach to harmonize its end markets across states? Why or why not? Third, CAA is considering using a third party to initially prioritize the audit process for large end markets outside of North America due to potentially higher concerns with environmental, health, and safety standards outside of North America. Does this approach make sense to you? Scott Saunders.
Scott Saunders, KW Plastics. So the three-step verification, I think the initial verification probably works, and maybe some data review. The audit, that's going to be very expensive, and you could see smaller recyclers not be able to afford to do that. As far as harmonizing the end market approach, I mean, you know, we don't like what Oregon's doing. We'd prefer to Oregon to harmonize back to Colorado. And again, using the third party audit, that's just going to be very expensive. And so I think when you look at a PCR certification, you're talking $6,000 to $8,000 a year. If it's an ISO certification, that's about $25,000 a year.
Pete.
Thanks, Scott. I just want to be abundantly clear that when it comes to the audit cost, that will be a CAA responsibility. That is a cost of CAA. We would be hiring a third party to do the audit work. So that would not be an expense of those individual markets. That would be an expense of CAA.
Scott, can I ask, Scott Saunders, can I ask if that makes a difference for you in the regard to
I think it will for smaller companies, you know, that are trying to get into the business. I mean, we already have ISO certs. We already are certified PCR suppliers, so we're already undertaking a lot of those expenses. So I'm just thinking about the smaller, newer companies.
Thank you. Scott DeFife.
Thanks, Scott DeFife, Glass Packaging. I agree completely on the prioritizing the audit process for international or for markets outside North America. I think that's where most of the concern of the public has come in. That's where most of the malfeasance has been, things of that nature. And I think to do it at the same level at which Oregon is recommending for all their end markets, because they aren't bifurcating between international and domestic yet, although that regulatory process is still in the making and could change. It's just adding, whether they're CAA costs or costs to the people who are going to have to receive the auditors is helpful. But even if they're CAA costs, you're going to be spreading those amongst your producers. And so, I mean, it's not like it's a free cost that somebody's paying, right? And so just to create, a bunch of auditing, work to pay a third-party consultant to do it, especially for domestic, end markets, I think is extraneous costs on the entire system, which that money can be used better. Otherwise, although I do generally agree with the thing, but audit is a very amorphous word. And that's where a lot of the concern with the Oregon, plus they have other standards that are beyond the standards that Colorado has. So beyond just, of course, it makes sense to coordinate amongst your states and your end markets. If you find a responsible end market that's in one state, they can be a responsible end market in another state. Absolutely. But to put everybody, open everybody to the audits that the Oregon regulators are suggesting, is a thing that I think is where the market blowback is coming from.
Okay, thank you. Gail and then Rick.
Yes, Gail, Gary, City of Steamboat Springs, City Council. And again, just appreciate all of this information. It's a huge learning curve. And so appreciate everybody's perspectives and certainly, my colleagues that are in the industry. I just wanted to speak up really from the perspective of, a municipal leader, right? An elected municipal person. And, from the perspective of, we need to have consumer confidence in this process in order to make it work. So, to the extent that there are concerns, about audits, I understand that. But again, I think we need to make sure that we stand up a sound process and one that are, the consumers who are, are ultimately the ones that are going to be doing the recycling believe in the process. And so I think we need to make sure and take that into consideration as we make our decisions. So just wanted to kind of throw in that perspective.
Great, thank you, Gail. Rick?
Yes, Rick Cater, Swordfish Consulting. I kind of like to ask a question of maybe one of our board members might be able to answer this. So if we're if the end goal is to establish North American markets and rule out export markets, then this is going to move in that direction for sure. Because my question would be, does anybody on this board that represents paper think that anybody in the Asian end market area, the developing world, can meet Colorado standards?
Yeah, Michael, with Sunoco here, I'm not gonna speculate too much on that. So certainly, I think that's interesting topic for us to consider, probably for all materials, right? As far as the total amount of materials out there, and we could, I think, look into the specifics, but there would certainly be some challenges in a number of aspects, I would assume.
Thank you. Scott, another question, comment? Scott DeFife, sorry. Do you have your hand up from before or another question?
Legacy hand. Sorry.
Legacy hand. That means you have privileges. All right, go ahead, Liz.
Liz Chapman, Recycle Colorado. So to answer the questions on the slide, I definitely support the initial verification, data review, audit approach. And the question about I agree with CAA's approach to harmonize end markets. it seems only reasonable because Colorado is too small an area to make up its own end market. As you discussed much earlier in today's meeting, we're too small and material will have to get aggregated with other states in order to send all the material to the end market. However, this discussion I'm hearing from some of the representatives on the board about industry's discomfort with the approach of another state, I do not want to see Colorado's program delayed in the effort to harmonize with a state that is holding up the process, if that makes sense. So my question is there, if we say, yes, we want to harmonize, does that tie us then to the results of progress in other states? Because if that's the case, I don't support it. I would prefer that Colorado move forward in a way that we will have access to the markets and the processors by having a different set of requirements than our sister states. However, I see the advantages of harmonizing across states for everyone's benefit. And then the last thing about the overseas, that comes back to the question I had asked before, which is, I think the only realistic way to get certification of overseas in markets is to contract with a known certifier that is working in that part of the country. To your point earlier, Scott, no one knows who CAA is. People in Mexico probably don't know, and they only know Canada because you're there. So yes, you would need to audit through a third party in those other areas. But again, I think that those certifications are going to look different because it is outside the jurisdictional purview of the United States and Colorado.
Thank you, Liz.
Well, I think it's a strong message that I think we've received, which is, I think what I hear is understand that and agree to some degree with harmonization, but within reason. And I think the reason it gets to if it poisons the well with the highest denominator, that's problematic.
Great. All right. Thank you, Scott Saunders.
Scott Saunders, KW. To kind of comment on Rick's comment, I don't think you're going to know on the overseas markets, and I doubt that any of them are going to meet Colorado standards. And I think that once that material leaves the boundaries of the U.S. and Canada, you're not even going to know if it goes to the facility that you audited. As far as the North American market, I think Colorado's going to have to look at it just like they do a driver's license. And if whatever particular state that you're in, if you're operating with a valid business license, a valid stormwater permit, or whatever they require, you should be considered responsible in market. I don't even know what the law in Colorado is. So I know that I operate within the permits of my jurisdiction, but I really wouldn't even know how to say, does Colorado require an air permit, but the state of Alabama doesn't? We don't have an air permit, but we have a wastewater permit and we have a stormwater permit. So I don't know how you get from one jurisdiction trying to manage other jurisdictions and do that efficiently.
Sounds like a whole nother conference or another, it does sound very large listening to all of this. I think at this point, if we're able to, we can move to our next topic. We do have 20 minutes here. We have several people who would like to, from the public, give their comments at the end. But Pete, you seem to have gotten what you need, so I'd suggest we move a few slides to the Circular Action Alliance updates. There you go.
Thanks, Scott. And I'll try to go through these, I think, at a reasonable pace, because I think the information is there to take away as well within the comments. So we're moving quickly. So we have the first 8 now consultation sessions have taken place. So this slide's a bit outdated since I handed it in on Monday or revised on Monday. So we have had all of those consultation sessions. The numbers of participants within those sessions are included. The first number is the amount of people that actually showed up on the call, and the second number is the amount that registered. So that's the 2 numbers that are included in all of those that are sort of an orange type of color. So we've had good participation at all of those meetings. The survey deadlines are all starting to come up, so we are starting to now be able to sort of close those surveys off and to summarize the comments. So if we move one more slide forward, I've included 2 of those sessions. I think we can probably get another one wrapped up. I think I did see the feedback come in earlier this morning. So this is the first session of the session that we held on the minimum recyclables list that dealt with compliance and also dealt with targets. So what I have done in these 2 slides, I've included 2 pie charts that just give you an idea as to the attendees that were part of it. So what were the type of entities that were included? In the next slide, we'll show the attendees by geographic location. We did also ask those questions. So we've given you just a bit of a divide for each of them to sort of give you a sense as to who were those attendees that came to those events. So we did have over 100 questions that were received as part of that first session. And we did have just under 40 survey responses that came back. So when it came to compliance, there was, I think, a general support for the compliance approach that we had provided. There were a number of concerns that were brought up around guidance. So producers unsure around the guidance provided, and so they were seeking additional clarity around the definitions and whether the requirements would apply to them. There was some questions about bringing free riders into compliance, so making sure that there was enough resources focused on that, while also allowing for reasonable time to ensure that producers actually understand what their requirements are. So not necessarily coming in with the stick first, but making sure that they understood what the issues were. There were some questions on how auditing might happen, reporting tools that may be available. Some mentioned the need to consider limitations of lightweighting and/or PCR composition for certain types of packaging when developing guidelines for compliance. So I would say to you, there's certainly a fair amount of work that's happening behind the scenes right now as we move towards our October 1st registration timeline to try to provide more guidance to producers around their requirements in the Act and whether they are caught or not. Every producer is going to need to seek their own legal advice on that, but we are looking to make sure that we provide additional materials for them. There was some comments provided around the minimum recyclables list. Some argued for inclusion of different types of products, so I've included that on the slide. Next slide over. Again, the attendees by location are included, so lots of them that looked at as themselves as being sort of statewide, and then we're various for Western Slope, Central Mountains, Front Range, or out of state. Specific to the minimum recyclables list, there was an overall consensus around, I think, what was on that list. There was some requests for clarification about clay versus plastic coated paper products. And there was some suggestions for some reconsideration of some products like clamshell, PE and PPE containers, HDPE and PP pails, and gable top containers. On the recycling rates, the overall approach was supported. There was a few questions and concerns around the efficiencies and costs associated with low density population areas and collection in those areas, and the need for investment in smaller MRFs. And then there's some additional comments that I've included there around the need to increase and improve some of the plastic rates, specifically some of the flexible plastic rates, specifying how materials will be tracked to ensure proper disposition of those materials, and clear guidance on some of the areas where producers are looking for information on how to comply with the regulation. Next slide. Just moving into the second session, which was on education and outreach. Again, I've included the same pie charts in both, just for information for the advisory board. Less questions asked in this session. This was one of the lower attendances for our sessions. We did receive 23 responses back. We would like to have seen, I think, more responses back in this area. I think we are trying to push on some of this. We have heard from some trade associations and others that may submit their comments through a different format. So we are understanding that there may be some more comments that come back through other channels on that side. So comments: need for aligning disparities between local collection and processing capacity and localized characteristics of communities. Although there was still a general sense that there was a need to move towards more of a harmonized approach for education and outreach. Yeah, and again, I think the next comment fits that. Need for some customization. Again, there was some discussion around, unique geographic considerations, linguistic, cultural, demographics types of considerations that we need to take into account. Next slide over. There was a fair amount of division around who should deliver the messaging. And I think, the current approach that we've taken is allowing for potentially multiple players to provide the delivery of the message, whether it be local governments, whether it be non-governmental organizations, whether it be service providers. I think we're trying to look at different ways to reach the residents in Colorado. Fairly divided around the reimbursement methodologies. So there's some need for us to, I think, look at that specifically. And then there was a lot of comments specifically around the need for things like K-12 classroom materials, multilinguistic resources, and then some specific comments around different tools that people felt were helpful for us to make sure that we provided resources around. And I think we're almost at time to get comments. So I think that's the last I had. The next slide, I think, is dealing with, if I'm not mistaken, some follow-ups on the previous board meetings, but I'm wondering, Scott, because of restricted time, we can come back to this.
Yeah. So, well, are there any burning questions right now or comments from the updates that Pete provided? We have 2 public comments, so we know that, and they're 2 minutes each. Caroline.
Caroline Mitchell, City of Fort Collins. I know this is an incredibly fast timeline for all of the work here. Do you anticipate opening up surveys again, or doing a next round of engagement more broadly, or just working with folks individually, or what do you anticipate happening as the next piece here?
So I think there's, Caroline, I think there's changes that are already happening as a result of some of the feedback that we're receiving. So I think we're making changes as we go. We are very razor focused right now on actually drafting all of the sections of the program plan. So taking some of these broad ideas and building those into chapters. I think largely we are going to leverage as much as possible the advisory board, follow-up conversations with different entities that have provided feedback where we have questions where we need additional feedback from those groups. And then obviously then we move towards getting the draft to this group and moving that then into hopefully then CDPHE as we look past February into their own public posting and consultation on the actual full report. So I don't think we necessarily have time to do another full round of consultation sessions, given that the comments on those will still be a month away from now for the last ones that we're doing. So we're trying to sort of, again, move things as much as possible and be as nimble as possible, but we also have a lot of work to get all of those sections put together and fully laid out so that when they next land with all of you, they'll be fully spelled out and you've got more meat to respond to.
Thank you, Caroline. Pete, was there anything on this slide you wanted to cover before we move to the public comment, unless there is another comment or question from the advisory board?
I don't think so. I mean, I think we've provided as part of the running, and Darla, I don't know what we call that form, but that large spreadsheet form that the comments are. So I think we've tried to cover all of the comments in those. So if there's any areas where there's follow up on those from the advisory board, happy to discuss any of those.
I always get the name wrong, so Darla's gonna laugh at me here because I've called it multiple things, but it's the running comments and questions that's very important through here. And Megan and I are taking notes as well, and we'll work with Darla and Pete to make sure that from this meeting, the follow-up comments will appear with questions as well. It was a great discussion today. So not seeing any further questions or comments, I'm going to now move here to the public comment and ask here, turn it over to Brandon. Brandon?
I apologize for not having my video here. My internet connection is still pretty poor, but with that said, we are at the public comment period for today's meeting. So we will be calling on members of the public in the order in which their requests were received. And since we have limited time, we're only going to allow 2 minutes for each comment. We encourage commenters to focus on the topics discussed during this meeting. Please note that this is a public comment period and not a time to ask questions, but rather to provide feedback. If you have questions, please email them to eprcomments@state.co.us. I've just put into the chat. And with that, we'll begin with our first public commenter, which is Brian Loma. Brian, please unmute, say your affiliation, and provide your 2-minute feedback.
Good afternoon, folks. My name is Brian Loma, Cut the Plastic EMS. Always a pleasure to listen and learn from all of you. I have 2 thoughts that I wanted to share. The first one, I've heard a couple times now, both in the public preview sections and today, about focusing on, I think it's number 1, PET plastics with the post-consumer products. But it seems to me, or with the post-consumer reuse, but it seems to me that aluminum and glass are already in those categories. So to help show targets over the long haul in improvement and utilization, I'm just not understanding and why, and want to encourage that thought process that those things be tracked as well, because we have the facilities to process them in the state. I'm also concerned about mass balance as presented. I read a recent New York Times article, many of you may have seen, showing how a lot of products that are listed as containing post-consumer product, because of mass balance, items can actually have zero post-consumer.
Oops, I think we may have lost Brian.
Yeah, it looks like Brian fell off of the call here.
Okay. Well, we'll get his comments if he wanted. Brian, are you there?
Yeah.
No.
No, he's not. Oh, actually, I think he just rejoined here. Brian, go ahead and unmute, and I'll set you back to where you were. You had about 40 seconds.
So I just want to make sure that when we're looking at the mass balance aspect of post-consumer product, that we're ensuring that these materials actually have post-consumer product. And unlike the New York Times story that's showing how many products were labeled with PCR or PCR in it, but didn't actually have it. I know that the EU has set up some more stringent guidelines for mass balance, and I hope that those kinds of guidelines would be considered board recommendations and by CCA to ensure that we're not greenwashing from the beginning. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, Brian. Brandon, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, yep. So we do have one more public comment. Clarence Raskino. Clarence, please unmute, say your affiliation, and provide your 2-minute feedback.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
So I represent an obligated producer. My concerns are just, and I won't take the full 2 minutes. My concerns are just over PCR and I think the concern is primarily the understanding the supply chain for PCR, and understanding also there are some technical situations where PCR is not practical to be used. From the supply chain scenario, really, producers of, for example, corrugated boxes, you need adequate supply of virgin material. Recycled fibers don't have as much duration and time and performance. Plus, there is a huge demand for OCC overseas, and so just the supply of PCR material that can go into a corrugated box may not be available for corrugated producers all the time. Every time there's a request for boxes that, for example, my company needs. And so producers in that situation need to be allowed to produce a corrugated box with all virgin material if and when PCR is not available. So I certainly hope that CA takes that into consideration about availability, because Colorado is not going to be the only state that requires PCR. The whole nation potentially will be requiring that. Thank you.
Thank you, Clarence. And thank you, Brian. We do compile all comments received, and we will include them in the meeting summary. As a reminder, you can always submit written comments as well as your questions by email to eprcomments@state.co.us, which is in the chat. I'll go ahead and I'll turn it back over to Scott for the meeting summary and next steps. Go ahead, Scott.
Thank you very much, Brandon. And thank you to Clarence and Brian for your comments, your public comments. I also want to thank Pete, you, and extend our thanks over to Pierre when you get a chance to speak with him for the presentations today. I also want to thank all of you board members. It's been a lot of information, a lot of new stuff. So really good comments and discussion today, particularly. So we're at that time in the meeting for the recap, talk about next steps, and to adjourn. PSI will be drafting up notes from today's consultation. As mentioned before, we will flag any follow-up items that are needed. And meeting materials will be posted on the department's webpage within the next few days, and Brandon has posted the link in the chat. The next technical work session, as you see with this slide, will be on September 26th from 10:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. Mountain Time. And please join us at our next scheduled advisory board meeting, which will be on October 9th from 12:30 to 3:30 Mountain Time. Once again, I want to thank all of you, and it is now time to adjourn. May I get a motion to adjourn, please? Let's see who's the quickest to the draw.
Scott Saunders, KW. I move to adjourn.
Thank you, Scott. And I saw the other Scott, the Fife, it wants to second it.
It's the Scott meeting. I'm seconding.
We're the triad. Me, you, and Scott Saunders. All right, we've got a first, a second. All those in favor, say aye.
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 You're still energetic. Anyone opposed? All right, unanimous. So right at the buzzer, the 30th Producer Responsibility Advisory Board meeting is now adjourned at 3:30 p.m. All right, take care, everyone. Great meeting. Bye-bye.